Hello, I'm Nolan with Innovamat, and here we're going to take a look at navigating the classroom manager for math journeys. If you go to manager.innovamat.com, you'll see a login screen that looks something like this, and you can enter your credentials, or you can use an option like sign in with Google or one of these other single sign-in options. It's possible also if you have a Launchpad that you might have an icon to take you directly there. I'm going to log in with these demo credentials into a demo website. So your view will look pretty similar to this. I don't think you'll see this image at the top that shares a particular school, but your screen will probably start with this information. And the first thing that you'll need to do is to create one or more groups. Now, a group serves two functions in the Classroom Manager. Number one, it's your access point to the curriculum materials. And any group that you create has access to all of MathJourney's resources. The second function of the group is that you can use it to communicate with Atlas Math, the students' digital practice app, to let the app know that students are ready to consolidate their understanding and do fluency practice for the sessions you've already taught. So let's get started. Go ahead and tap on Start. And if groups already exist, that's great. Otherwise, you can add a group. And we suggest that you add a group with something that will be easy to identify later. As you can see, there could be many groups in your building. So I will use my name and something like Group A. Everything that I enter here can be edited later. The default setting is that students can only access Atlas Math during building hours. And so we recommend setting entry and departure times to match your school's hours. And make sure you set your time zone to something that is consistent with where you are. I'm going to use something on the West Coast. I'll choose an icon and we're ready to go. Now you can add students at this moment, or you can skip that step and do it later. And I'm going to go ahead and show you how we'll add students in just a moment. So if you're not quite sure, or if you want to make some decisions first, that can always be saved for later. All right, so I'm going to join this group called Nolan A, confirming that I'm in it. And now when you log into the platform, this is what you'll see. By the way, if you wanted to join another group, maybe a group that one of your colleagues has, or maybe you have students moving back and forth, you can always join other groups as well. And once I'm in a group, if I change my mind, I can leave the group. I also have access to edit the details of that group. So I'm going to go ahead and enter Group A, Nolan Group A. And this will bring you into the main dashboard screen. And I'm going to walk you through the details here on the left-hand column. We're going to start here on the Overview tab. And I want to draw attention to this first thumbnail that says Journeys Learning Brief. If I tap on this, it's going to give you a series of one-page documents that show you what's happening in each of our 22 journeys. And if you're like me, you can come up to download printables and get a PDF copy. I like to think of this as a nice decision-making tool. If I'm thinking about students starting in a journey like B2 or B3, I can, at a glance, find out on the left for whom is this journey best. And we can see here it says this journey is best for students who can correctly find the result of additive operations in the 1 to 20 range and identify numbers in the 1 to 100 range. And if either of those statements aren't true of my students at this moment, I might consider Journey B2 or Journey A2, where those things will be discussed. It'll also give you the statements that show you essentially what skills students will learn in this journey. So if students have difficulty finding the result of additive operations in 1 to 100, lack efficient strategies for solving addition and subtraction situations in the 1 to 100 range, or struggle to identify which additive operation to use in word problems, those are the skills that will be covered in Journey B3. And over here on the right-hand side of the screen gives you a brief pictorial overview of some of the strategies and representations that will be used. I like this document because I can easily move up or down to compare it with other journeys. I'm going to close this tab and I'm going to hit this back button back in the Classroom Manager. And then let's go ahead and start from the bottom up. So I'm going to come down here to the People tab on the left, and I'm going to notice the students roster right now is empty. And that's because I haven't added any students yet. I'll do that now. But if I have already added students, then we'll see some of their data show up here. So I'm going to add a few students, and you can type in things just by their names. In this case, our students are given names like student one and student two. So I'm just going to add a few in here to represent what's happening. But you'll be able to search by their credentials. A couple of things to notice here. The students' first and last names will appear. The students' emails will also appear over here. And right here, I have a default setting that students' digital practice will default to English. However, since our materials are written in both English and Spanish, we also have an option for students to have their Atlas Math practice happen in Spanish if that's your preference. All right, moving on, I'm going to go to the Assessment and Intervention tab. And this is where if you are administering an end of journey assessment after your 15 or so sessions in each journey, you can come to Tests and Results to assign a journey. Here's all of the tests that exist for each of the journeys, and I can offer students this password when they're ready to go. They will complete these tests on their digital practice app under the section for tests. And then later I can come and see the results right here by tapping on this button, and a report of student results will show up. That's something we can definitely approach a little bit later down the road when you get closer for your first end of journey assessment. Under the Digital Practice tab, this is where you can look for the weekly results and the fluency reports related to students' digital practice. And at this moment, we don't have real students with real data, and so there's nothing to see here, but you can select by week, and you can see the number of apps that students have completed, how much time they've spent, and individual information about the particular apps, as well as an overall rating based on their activity over that week. Now we're going to spend the majority of our time here under the Journeys tab, and we'll give a brief overview now, and then in our next video, we'll dive deep into looking at the teaching guides and teaching resources that are contained within. So under Journeys, you can see each of those different domains: counting and numbers in base 10, additive thinking, multiplicative thinking, rational numbers, powers and integers, expressions and equations. And wherever you wish to start, you can go ahead and tap on that journey cluster. And now you can see the particular journeys listed under additive thinking. So as I mentioned in our first video, the first journey within additive thinking is students working on their addition and subtraction facts by decomposing numbers within 1 to 10. And I can find the one-page learning brief for this particular journey here. Now I'm thinking of this as a planning tool to remind me of the foundational skills that students have as they're beginning this journey and the skills we'll be working on throughout the journey. At any moment, if I'm missing that big picture information, I can come back to that learning brief. And then the sessions for the journey continue here, moving along horizontally all the way to the end of the sessions. And if I were to say wanted to start in B3, then I could come down here and access that first session for B3. One of the things I find really helpful is that these thumbnails, in addition to giving you the title of the session, for instance, B3 session 1 is addition, jumping on the beat string, it also gives me just a quick visual reference of what students will be doing in this session. If I wanted something in multiplicative, I would just tap on another journey cluster, and here are the 4 journeys that deal with multiplicative thinking, all the way from building the times tables in C1 towards C3 and C4, where they're mastering multiplication and division with bridging strategies and the algorithms. Similarly, we have the 6 journeys for rational numbers, etc. So let's go ahead and start our thinking here in Journey B. And let's meet up here to take a look in our next video of how we can navigate the teaching guides.